Mention the word anime to someone, and you'll probably get a reaction something like this. In general, I'd say society looks down on anime, and subsequently anybody who watches it as immature, uncool, and in some cases, perverted. This sweeping stereotype of the entire medium permeates pretty much everyone. I know that if I told many of the people I know that I watch anime, they'd scoff and probably hold a lesser opinion of me, which is incredibly disheartening for two major reasons. One, because that's judgmental, and anybody should have the freedom to pursue the hobbies they enjoy without fear of getting looked down on, as long as those hobbies don't involve bodily harm to themselves or anyone else, well, really any criminal activity. And secondly, this narrow-minded view of anime fails to recognize just how broad and versatile the medium is. Sure, if you're looking for the more childish side, you can easily find that. Or if you want some hentai, hey, there's plenty of that too. But there's also slice of life, and romance, and drama. Anime offers so much more than what the typical person gives it credit for. So when I come across a series that is perhaps more mature and more dark than even Western favorite Game of Thrones, I just want to slap it in the face of every anime hater out there. Whenever someone tries to tell me how immature and childish anime is, my response is always and unequivocally the same. Kara no Kyoukai. This movie series took me on one of the most intense rides any show, anime or otherwise, has ever taken me on. It's gritty, it's mature, it's dark. Man, is it dark. While it may not be for everybody, it is certainly the antithesis to the widely held belief that anime is incapable of a complex, deep, and mature story. Today, under the scope, I take a look at Kara no Kyoukai, The Garden of Sinners, a series of 7 movies that proves there's more to anime than boobs and lollies. Kara no Kyokai's story is, in a word, complex. Or maybe the better word would be confusing, at least at times. If you don't like shows where you actively have to think about the plot, you will not like this series. When you watch Kara no Kyoukai, you need to devote 100% of your attention to Kara no Kyoukai. The series consists of 7 movies, each with its own story arc, complete with distinct antagonists, conflicts, and resolutions. Separate, none of the movies make any real sense, but taken together, they offer a thrilling story highlighted by the dark atmosphere. Kara no Kyoukai is a murder mystery thriller with some seriously great action and storytelling that's chock full of symbolism, philosophy, and a bit of magic. Not afraid to take on anything, no matter how dark, it deals with tough issues like drugs, hostages, rape, and murder. Lots and lots of murder. The thread that ties the movies together is the main characters, Ryogi Shiki and Kokuto Mikiya. Kara no Kyoukai is the story of Ryogi Shiki and her conflict with herself. Shiki has an ability known as the mystic eyes of death perception, allowing her to see the death of all things in the form of a line or point. Working under the mage Aozaki Toko, Shiki attempts to solve a series of supernatural cases while also grappling with her former split personality and friendship with Kokuto. The writing, just as much as the animation, creates a uniquely dark atmosphere that I never tire of. Films 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 all have a runtime of around 50 minutes, while movies 5 and 7 run just under 2 hours. Each has its own self-contained story, while serving to add greatly to the overall narrative. By the end, you've got an incredible character story that will surely stay with you for a while. That being said, it has a very high barrier of entry. The plot is by no means readily accessible and takes some serious thinking on the side of the viewer to really understand. To make matters worse, the movies are completely out of order chronologically, with the first actually taking place 4th on the timeline. Even so, the movies should be viewed in release order, not chronological. Unlike the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, Kara no Kyoukai was placed out of order for a dramatic purpose, and so the viewer stands to gain from watching it in this way. Trust me, when you watch the first film for the first time, you will be confused as to what the hell is going on and who these people are. Because of this, it's not for everybody. I know there will be plenty of people who just can't get into the story, whether it's because of the complexity, slow start, or dark themes. However, past all that is a thoroughly enjoyable plot with some superb writing. Kara no Kyoukai is a thrilling experience and presents one of the darkest, grittiest, most mature stories I've ever seen in an anime. With her harsh yet awesome personality, Shiki pretty much steals the show for most of the series. Her character has a ton of depth while also never failing to be a badass and make you think. Her interactions with the rest of the cast lends the series much of its complexity, and her inner conflict with her split personality is compelling, if not a little hard to grasp at sometimes. The dynamic between Shiki and Kokuto is fun to watch, as their personalities are near polar opposite. In a cast full of eccentric characters, Kokuto is different because he's so normal. He's your typical nice guy with no qualities that really make him stand out, but that's precisely what makes him so special in this series. His normality is in stark contrast to Shiki and the rest of the characters around him, making for some very, very compelling storylines. The best part of Kara no Kyokai's cast is probably the various side characters. Each antagonist receives extensive development and has a bit more personality to them than the main cast. Overall, the characters beautifully accentuate the dark, mysterious atmosphere that makes this series so great. Kara no Kyoukai expertly develops the supporting cast story arcs in their respective movies, while also telling a deep, complicated, and unique overarching narrative on its main characters. Kara no Kyoukai is the crowning achievement of Japanese animation. It is the best the medium has to offer. Nearly every frame could be put on a poster and hung on a wall, it's so beautiful. From the breathtaking backgrounds and gradients to the excellent character art and fluid action sequences, Kara no Kyoukai is the best looking anime I've seen to this point in time, which is saying something considering the first movie premiered way back in 2007. The dark atmosphere the visuals create perfectly complements the dark atmosphere of the writing. Everything about Kara no Kyokai's animation is sheer perfection. Enough gushing about the visuals though. Time to gush about the soundtrack. In case you didn't know, I'm a fan of Yuki Kaji's soundtracks, and Kara no Kyoukai is the reason why. There's music that serves to complement the action on screen, and then there's Kara no Kyokai's music, which has some tracks that make the action on screen. With a bevy of memorable tracks, this music is an absolute joy to listen to. Chances are, even if you find yourself totally dazed and confused by the plot, you'll keep watching because you can't turn away from the glory that is Kara no Kyokai's perfect animation and breathtaking soundtrack. Kara no Kyoukai is one of the most visceral, thought-provoking series in anime. Like I said before, it's certainly not for everyone. It has a very high barrier of entry, and if you're not devoting all of your time and attention to it, you're sure to miss something and get hopelessly left behind. Its dark themes are present throughout and can be extremely graphic at times. If blood's not your thing, then you should definitely stay away from this series. What it does offer, however, is a complex, gritty, and mature story that illustrates how anime is much more than dumb Japanese porn cartoons. Whether it's the unbelievable visuals and sound, the wonderfully dark atmosphere, or the compelling characters and story, Kara no Kyoukai demonstrates the best of what anime is capable of. So with that, I award Kara no Kyoukai The Garden of Sinners with an approval rating of best of the best, a distinction reserved only for shows I find to be an absolute masterpiece and a definite must-watch, as well as an overall score of 5 Haagen-Dazs product placements out of 5. Now I see why the animation was so good. Kara no Kyoukai is one of my favorite anime series of all time and is a truly incredible experience that only gets better on a second viewing. If you pushed me, I'd have to say movies 5 and 7 are the two best, with 6 being the only one that's merely okay, as it's basically filler. Also, one quick side note. Please, for the love of God, do not watch this series on some crummy streaming site in low quality. It needs to be enjoyed in HD to really get the full effect, and you'll be doing yourself a major injustice if you watch it any other way. Availability, of course, is extremely limited, as it is currently out of print. You can still find the series in its entirety on Amazon, but it's gonna ring you up anywhere from about $400 to $1,000. No, I'm not joking. If you're looking for something similar to Kara no Kyoukai, I encourage you to check out the obvious Type Moon Brethren series, Fate Zero, for its similarly dark atmosphere, compelling story, and breathtaking animation. If you liked one, you're sure to like the other. Also take a look at another classic, Elfen Lied, as it shares an incredibly dark tone with a protagonist capable of killing anything, some great music, and lots of murder and gore. That's all for me. If you have any questions regarding Kara no Kyoukai or would just like to share your opinion, please do so in the comments below and I'll be happy to respond. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.